Hi everyone, Wyloch here. Way back in episode 10 we made these, my original Tavern tiles, and if you've made some for yourself, you know that they are a pain, and not just a pain to do, literally they cause pain, like carpal tunnel, carving up those popsicle sticks. So, just like I did recently for easier dungeon tiles, cutting corners and getting 80% the result with 50% of the effort, thought I'd do the same and look at ways to cut corners on Tavern tiles. So, let's look at some easier ways to do those Tavern tiles. Now, without a doubt, the most painful part was the wooden planks and texturing them. So, instead of popsicle sticks, we're going to start with foam. This is extruded polystyrene, also known as home insulation, available at any home improvement store. I'm going to mill it down into 1/8 inch thick sheets using my Proxen hot wire cutter. And then a hair comb. You could use a variety of tools here. Wire brush is very popular, but I'm not so much a fan because the streaks are too thin. These comb tines give a bigger, bolder grain. So scrape along a few times at slightly different angles each pass. So you get this. Brush on some black acrylic for a solid base coat. Then with burnt umber, apply a good overbrush, so like 80-90% coverage. You can see I'm working a bit of paint off the brush, but it's definitely not a dry brush. This is meaningful. And go with the grain. Next up is terracotta. Use a fairly large brush, like 1 or 1.5 inches, and this time go against the grain. You can see how much I'm applying. Again, it's not a dry brush, but also not a base coat. And I'm doing much less than the burnt umber a moment ago. And the final step with honey brown, another overbrush, also against the grain, and like the terracotta, about 50% coverage. So we have these nice veneers made up. They don't look super awesome right now, but once we start cutting them into small pieces, the effect will hit home. Now for the tiles. For the foundations, no messing around, 2.5 inch squares, straight up. I'm using double corrugated cardboard here, but if you wanted to do the cardboard lot concept from episode 95, you could do that. It's going to take extra time, but given the time savings we're about to enjoy with the later steps, maybe you'll consider that worth the offset. Up to you. I am not making this batch with cardboard lock. Walls. Walls are also double corrugated, again because it's a convenient 1/4 inch thick. Going to cut 1/2 inch wide strips against the corrugation, like this, and then chop them to length and hot glue them to the foundation. This is why we want those corrugation tubes exposed, because that's a lot of surface area for the hot glue to sink into. Very strong connection. Now pick a beige color, this is folk art linen, and base coat the walls. You'll probably need 2 or 3 coats. Once that's dry, take some burnt umber and water it way down to make a wash, and apply that to the wall. If it goes on too rich, no problem, just dip your brush in the water and then swish it around on the wall to remix and dilute that paint. This is pretty easy to master. Here they are all drying. Next tip, we always talk about corrugation cladding. We can get a big time savings by not having to paint it. So here I've bought a mixed pack of brownish, beigeish cardstock. 50 sheets for $3, and that's a lifetime supply, trust me. So looking through these colors, I picked one of these dark brown ones. Measured out lines at 1/4 inch intervals, cut, and hot glue over the corrugation. You also get the hang of this pretty quick. Oh, and one tip, if you do have a wall, do the wall first and make it so that the strip goes all the way down onto the foundation. Then, when you wrap the foundation edge, don't overlap that strip. Do it in multiple pieces. Otherwise, you'll create a small bulge there at the corner, and that's going to create gaps in your finished tiles later on. Trust me, there are 22 tiles in the trash next to me right now. Now take a piece of veneer we prepared and start cutting up the squares. Remember, just as in episode 10, you need to select an orientation and always stick to it, so that no matter which way the tile is rotated, the checkerboard pattern is still correct. So for example, when I look at a tile in front of me, I always glue on the lower right square first, with its grain oriented up and down. Then I do the other 3. And I forgot to focus the camera here, sorry, but when you cut the squares, you'll see that there's some newly exposed foam, and that green is sticking out like a sore thumb. So we just take a small brush and touch it up with some burnt umber. Easy. And we're about to go to the table to see the final product, but real quick, some reminders. If you like what you're about to see, please don't hesitate to hit that like button, subscribe, reminders, etc., etc. There is a link in the description below for my Amazon storefront. Easy, free way to support the channel if you want. Just buy your stuff through that link. And for all you 3D printers out there, Wyloch's Crafting Vids is sponsored by Heroes Horde, which has an excellent range of high-quality models, including but not limited to all True Tiles lines, which are OpenLock compatible. Also, check out my modules over on the DM's Guild, and remember, $3 patrons get free copies of all my releases. So here they are side by side, new and old. You got a sidewall, a corner, and a field tile. The old ones took, I don't even remember how long, but these new ones, I knocked out this entire inn that you're about to see in about 4 hours worth of work. Of course, depending on your personal taste, you might think that this isn't a compromise. Maybe that cobblestone isn't to your fancy. After all, that has walls that don't look like they're the same on both sides. So like if you were using it as an interior wall, might look out of place. Over here on the new style, you got that sort of stucco simulated look. Works inside and outside. You also might consider for the spaces doing 3 planks of foam instead of a square. Again, time savings. So, of course, your clip-on features that you've made in the past still fit because they were to a 1/4 inch standard. That's why the walls are as thick as they are. Just a little sneak peek here of what we're going to be doing next time, a bunch of different tavern decor. If you liked this particular project, here's 2 more that you should go check out right now. Also, enjoy this month's community showcase. And don't forget to subscribe and click that bell reminder icon. I am Wyloch, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.